Hey everyone, this is Austin the Doctor, and welcome back to another review of My Sister, My Writer. And yes, before the thing begins, I do want to specify, I do know how to say it, don't worry, okay? I don't need 20 people to tell me how to say it. So anyway, Suzuka is happy because, the confession from the last episode, and she said that to you, and let me tell you, you is a dense son of a gun. He makes all the harem leads look like they're sensible people. It just, sometimes it pisses me off to the point that maybe we think he's just like, the other character from that other anime. I can't remember the name, but it'll come to me, Higani, or something like that. How that, the main character actually knew that the feelings, just didn't want to respond to it because he didn't feel like he needed to. And we see that Yu says that he said that as the author, it was all just an act, and we see Yu kind of not really love Suzuka that way, and we see Suzuka get extremely mad. I thought the man was done for. After we see Suzuka kind of use the whole, oh, people may suspect us again, so let's go on a date kind of thing, and Yu's basically, after stuck at a convention with, selling Suzuka's books, and we see Suzuka is helping too. Everyone's in cosplay, especially Suzuka. She's like a cat. Double P shows up as a warrior. Sakura shows up as an elf. Mei shows up as a fox. I couldn't quite tell right away until I saw the tail. I'm like, is she a cat? No, she's a fox, bushy tail. But we see Double Peace would be a big fan of Goblin Slayer, to say the least. I think she'd like that book, but all jokes aside, we meet Double Peace's rivals, Haruna and Akino, or Akino, however you want to say. I know people are going to correct me either way, but Haruna seems to sell like family-friendly doujin because she calls Double Peace Sensei's work kind of obscene, and she actually starts to go further about Suzuka's work and calls it creepy and bad, and Suzuka comes out as the author, a good pause, the author's sister. And I'm like, oh, she almost let it all go. That would have been the end of it. Everyone would have known. Game over, man. That's what it would have been. Basically, I was like, oh, that kept me on my seat, the edge of my seat. But we see Haruna proposes to have a competition on who can make a better doujin. And if you don't know what a doujin is, it's basically, it's not what you think. Like, people think it's that kind of magazine. It's actually a manga or comic strip, as Americans would say, that has nothing to do with the actual story. It can go anywhere it wants, but it has the characters from a certain series, or it has its own characters. So, a little educated thing, I guess. There you go. But we see that if Haruna wins, Double Peace Sensei has to do anything that she says, and Suzuka will have to retire from writing. And that Suzuka said that at the end. I'm like, Suzuka, you're not making this any easier for anyone. Just saying. And if Yu wins, Haruna has to apologize and recognize the story as a romance because Suzuka kind of got very defendant of her work, and it makes sense, but I didn't think she'd go to that extreme because she was full-blown like, I'm gonna make this girl, you know what, she gonna apologize, she gonna cry, basically. I'm like, oof, Suzuka has like been picking up the whole being a stronger person, and I'm actually liking it because it shows some character development, unlike certain series. But we see Suzuka Yu go to Double Peace's apartment, and my guys, my dudes, that girl lives in the lewd. She's a lewd. She's just lewd. If we look up lewd, you see Double Peace Sensei there, especially with her full name. Shouldn't come as a surprise, but we see that Haruna actually was a huge fan of Double Peace, and after kind of inspired Haruna to start drawing because of, the whole her being a big fan, and the more popular Haruna got, that relationship between Double Peace and her got rockier, and it starts to make sense because this is kind of a thing with, I know I hate to pull like YouTube in it, I see it actually happen quite a bit, that certain people will help other people, and after a little while, as they get more popular, they start to kind of, how would I put it, think they're better than the person, and that's not a way to think, because honestly, you should appreciate whoever's your idol, because I know everyone has their idol. My idol, I would have to say, is between like, I don't want to say the person I look up to is like PewDiePie or something like that to make how my content would be, but it's just I don't want to surpass him. I don't want to think I'm better than him. I quite honestly don't think I'm a great YouTuber, but it's good to see this kind of thing actually put into an actual story finally, because we see all these freaking series about making manga and all this stuff, but we don't see the realistic point of view like this, and this is why I'm like so happy about it, because it's been nailing a lot of the stuff. And I know using like YouTube is kind of another way of putting it, but I want you guys to kind of understand what's going on. And I just think it's just amazing how they did it. But anyways, go back to the review. We see that Double Peace asks good old Yu and Suzuka to act out scenes because she needed more material. I'm like, haha, yeah. And first was he good old SMM, and Suzuka, she was letting all her anger on Yu, and she called him dense, and she let her feelings out. And I'm starting to get, you, please, for the love of God, realize her feelings. Respond to them. I hope you do soon. Please, for the love of God. It's painful. It really is. And funny, but we see after Yu and Suzuka return home, and Suzuka asked good old Yu to go to the cultural festival with her for research. And the thing that's interesting, I know I probably missed in the beginning, but Suzuka goes to an all-girls school. I was like, oh, interesting. And we see everyone at Suzuka's school thinks that Yu and her are lovers. I'm like, oh, I wonder how that rumor started. And we see Suzuka kind of completely lie to Yu, and Yu's like, yeah, I don't think that. She just lied to me. And he's slowly catching on. I'm kind of happy at that point, but he's still so dense. The theater club actually comes to Suzuka, interrupts her date with her good old brother, needing 2 people for their show, and jokingly enough, they need a prince and princess, and it's a confession scene. And I'm like, okay. Suzuka accepts full-heartedly. You wouldn't even think she would. I thought she wouldn't. Oh yeah, but Suzuka actually uses this opportunity to express her real feelings, and Yu doesn't know how to respond to it, because he's like, what? And basically, the cue cards tell him to go with the flow, and he basically goes into a different character. Truth be told, you may be a better actor than a writer. It's actually kind of funny, but he did a very good way of putting it. He rejected her in a nice way, and I thought that was quite interesting. But I wouldn't say it was rejection, more of he will think about it kind of thing. And I think you actually responded with his real feelings there, and I don't know. I don't think he does like Suzuka that way. I really do think he likes Mei more, and this is kind of reminding me like Oni AI. And at the end we see Akino show up, and that's where we left off. But let's talk about like the whole episode as a whole. With, I see people saying this is like Austin-Sensei. I'm like, no, it's pretty far from it actually. It's like Oni AI. Yes, it does have the elements of Austin-Sensei. But, Suzuka isn't drawing, she's writing. And basically, this time it's the whole sister loves her brother, but the brother doesn't want to return the feelings. And that's kind of how it's been playing out so far. And I find these kind of animes interesting because they're very few. Because there's the either going over the top, and this isn't over the top. And yes, the animation may be sometimes not really great at points, but it's still an enjoyable series, and I love how people rank on it, but they still watch it. Like, come on, you can't complain when you still watch it. You're watching it because you enjoy it. As I said in every video, if you enjoy it, don't complain. Just watch it and enjoy your anime, because everyone has their own personal taste in anime, and you can't really have the best anime. That's why I don't really believe in the best anime of all time, because it's a subject to be discussed, more of a personal opinion. But going back to My Sister, My Writer, I'm kind of happy seeing this growth between Suzuka and Yu, especially, Yu becoming less dense. But seeing Suzuka is kind of stepping up to the plate now and expressing her feelings without feeling like, shy about it, it's kind of amusing. But I know this is kind of unusual, but I haven't read ahead of this. I kind of want to be surprised, because these kind of animes, I don't want to read ahead, because if I do find out what's going to happen, it's going to ruin the series for me. So For my guesses right now, I know some people want to spoil it probably, but I don't really think he likes her that way. He wants to be a better brother, and truthfully, he loves May, and it's just episodes. It's kind of point and blank, right? You can tell because he let his guard down around her, and he loves her work. It's too perfect to not have it. But then again, we can be surprised. It can pull a Darling the Franxx in her face and just not make sense. But who knows? We'll find out. It only has 4 more episodes. I don't know if they're gonna go for 2 seasons or 3 seasons, but I enjoy this anime. What do you think? Who's your favorite girl in this entire series? I have to say Sakura is my favorite, but we don't get always what we want, do we? Especially Sakura isn't shown that much anymore. But anyways, guys, this is Austin Doctor signing out. Peace.